has been ranked 84 out of 165 countries in the 2021 annual report for economic freedom of the world. It's been overtaken by 15 former communist countries in Eastern Europe. Now, the report was released by the Free Market Foundation in conjunction with Canada's Fraser Institute. The foundation's executive director, Louw, joins us now to tell us about this report. And Leon, it's a pleasure to talk to you this morning. Thank you for your time. What do we know based on this data? What does this report tell us about the state of South Africa's economic freedom at this time?
Well, firstly, hello to you and the listeners. Good morning to you. It tells us basically that we're about halfway in the world, almost in precisely the middle point of between being economically free and unfree. And what that tells us is that we are not going to be prosperous. To be prosperous, we have to rise to higher levels of economic freedom. We have risen in the last year 2 places, which is good. So we're moving in the right direction, and that is actually more important than the score. If you are a free country like, say, America, and you move down the ladder, then you stagnate. And if you're a less free economy like, say, China or India, or Mauritius or Rwanda, and you move up the index, then you prosper. So we're moving in the right direction, very slowly. And it's very important that because of all sorts of reasons. One is you achieve with more economic freedom, much higher living standards for the poor, full employment and many other benefits.
Now, I understand that we have 15 countries that are communist, territories and countries in front of us. I mean, what does this say then? What is the significance of these countries? I suppose, if my research is correct, they're in the eastern part of Europe. What's the significance of them being ahead of us as communist countries?
Well, that's very serious for us because we were, for example, in Africa, the freest economy in Africa. 7 African countries have overtaken us. We were much freer than all the communist countries. 15 have overtaken us. And what happens in the world is very simple, is prosperity, growth, job creation, welfare, including particularly, if I may say, for women, and particularly young women, fare best in the countries that are freer, with freer economies. And that is what these former communist countries and what was called African socialism no longer basically exists in most African countries. And so we have been overtaken, which is very serious. We better get back into the lead quickly if we want South Africa to be a prosperous, rich country.
And to be a prosperous country, what lessons do you think government has to take, especially policymakers, when we're looking at regulations around the minimum wage, but also dealing with this high unemployment rate in the country, Leon?
Yes, the lessons we should take are really the 5 areas that government function in the economy scored. And they should really just take that list with the breakdown of something like 44 items and work through them and get us a better score on each of them. But unemployment is a big one. And let's say that there are 2 aspects to unemployment. One is the official unemployment, the job seekers in the country, is now the highest in the world, and that is very, very dramatic. And so what the government needs to do is remove all the obstacles to people getting a job. So a radical revision of labor law, a radical revision of minimum wage, and start by saying the most important thing is to be employed. Once you're employed, then you work at getting the living standards and the incomes higher. And then what they should do in terms of investment and growth, obviously, investment creates jobs, so you must become an investor-friendly country. And I want to say in the government's favor, it's very easy to criticize for policies that cause these problems, inequality and poverty and economic stagnation. But what is important is that the government has recently, in the last year, been saying the right things. We've gone slightly up to a better economic system. And in the budget, the last budget, for example, everything was a move in the right direction. Very slight and very slow, but nonetheless a move in the right direction. And the State of the Nation address. So we need more of that. We need them to put their foot flat on that accelerator, get on with it, do the job, and South Africa will be, again, a leader in the world and, again, one of the richest countries.
Right, and that, you say, will lead to prosperity. Thank you so much. Free Market Foundation's Executive Director, Louw.